Hey guys, are you ready for today's February 15th, 2019, 8:31 a.m. Central Time. So a couple people asked me what's going on in the gun control world in Congress. Obviously, there's a lot going on state levels, which again, I do not follow every single state. It would be impossible to do and follow Congress on as many subjects as I do federal government. So anyway, figured I'd do a quick video. I've been doing a lot of the videos on obviously my Patreon account. Don't do much publicly anymore, but I wanted to do this video, show you a ridiculously retarded bill. Now, to everybody to calm down for a second, because of the wording on this Word document. Massive rifle confiscation is what would happen with this bill. Here is the deal. A lot of people will say, oh, no, don't ever say never, never type situation. Don't ever say something can't ever happen. Well, that's nice, okay, for you to think that. But here's the deal. The only thing that's going to go through, for sure, 100%, very soon, actually, in the House is H.R. 8 that has to do with background checks, basically universal background checks. And these two bills kind of fall into each other with one similar aspect, okay? The bill I'm talking about that's never going to happen, that a lot of you will say, oh, it could happen one day, whatever. It came out yesterday by someone named Theodore, a Democrat from Florida, District 22. This is cute. H.R. 1263. To amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to subject to the requirements of the National Firearms Act, NFA, any semi-automatic rifle that has the capacity to accept a detachable magazine. That's hysterical. That is millions of weapons. So the two things that H.R. 8 and this bill have in common that is actually standing in their way, okay? And it specifically states in H.R. 8 that they're not doing it as well, but it is currently federal law that the federal government cannot have a registry, create a registry of weapons, okay? That's the biggest concern everybody on the fucking planet has, and that is my concern too. Over all gun control, really, for the most part, that is a huge concern of mine, is to be on some sort of registry and having somebody know what I have, what type I have, everything, okay? And in order for H.R. 8 to actually be truly enforced, which is basically universal background checks saying, hey, if you're going to do a sale, you have to go through an FFL, a private sale. You have to go through an FFL, have them run it, and if they run it and they're fine, you pay some fee or whatever, and you sell it to the person. To be honest with you, when I do private sales, it's most of the time what I do anyway. But beside the point, a lot of states don't even allow that. You have to go to an FFL, and a lot of states do. Here, they allow you not to go. You can do a private sale without an FFL. Arizona, same way, where I grew up. It's just by choice at that point. But the biggest problem I have with H.R. 8 that will pass the House, they've had 2 hearings on it now. They had a hearing on it and a markup. It will go to the House floor fairly soon, I'd say within the next month or 2, if not even sooner. Pass, go to the Senate. I have no idea what will happen in the Senate. I will follow that, and I will follow it and put all the updates on my Patreon account. So, but for it truly to be enforced, it would literally need to have a registry behind it. So it's really if we catch you, it's a quote deterrent, okay? To do that type of shit, and they call it the gun show loophole is what it's closing, because people will go, in the states here, like in Missouri, go to a gun show, some dude will pop up a table, have a few rifles, handguns, whatever, and he'll sell them to you. He just pays for the space. He's not an FFL dealer. They're trying to prevent that shit from happening. Well, if that's the case, they're going to have to put a lot of restrictions on websites like Arms List and that type of thing. Obviously, anyone who buys stuff online it doesn't get shipped to your motherfucking house. If you don't know what arms list is, then you don't know much about guns. Okay, it's basically Craigslist. You just go and meet someone in person. So anyway, so my biggest concern with that is that, and also, it does not cap, and this is a big problem for me, and actually they mentioned it, a couple people mentioned it, in the long ass, obnoxious, boring hearing that I watched and uploaded some of it to my Patreon account. It's essentially, okay, steps on the Second Amendment right of the poor community. Okay, and the reason I say that is like right now, if I go down the street to a specific range that I go to, trying to sell my Glock right now, by the way, and go and have somebody do an FFL, do a background check at that FFL. They pay for it because I ain't paying for it, so they pay for it, they pass it, I sell them the gun. They currently charge $35 to do that background check. Now, if this HR 8 were to become law and universal background checks actually do become law, FFLs are going to take massive advantage of that. And it could cost you hundreds of dollars for them to simply say, okay, yeah, come in our shop and we will run a background check for you. It's going to cost you $250. They could do anything they want. They can do that now. Apparently in some states, in like Illinois, I don't know if I can't remember the states they said, Illinois, District of Columbia, a couple other places, they already cost several $100s to do that at an FFL. Every FFL in this country could change the way they do business and do that. So it could essentially stop poorer people from getting firearms or Second Amendment rights, or at a minimum, cause them to have an issue attempting to get a gun. And that is where SCOTUS would have to step in and say, this is too absurd type of situation. There either needs to be a cap on it or it needs to be free. Okay, the FFL has to do it for free, which I think should be the case anyway. It's not like it's doing anything to them other than, quote, wasting their time. They're not losing revenue, quote unquote, over it. They just don't appreciate it. So, but without these two bills, without HR 8 and HR 1263 actually being adopted, a registry would have to happen. And currently in the United States of America, there is a actual law that states in Title 18 that they cannot create a registry in this country currently. That can obviously change with the stroke of a pen by Congress. But anyway, I thought that bill was funny. Massive rifle confiscation. I mean, what are they going to do? It's another thing. If they find it, they're going to take it away from you. Nobody's going to turn their shit in. Anybody turn in, by the way, anybody, don't fucking answer. Do not fucking answer on my channel or anywhere else. But did anyone really turn in any of their bump stocks? Anybody? Because that shit became illegal like, I don't know, a month ago or something, or maybe it's soon, I don't know. Either way, if you haven't, are you going to? And where the fuck do you turn it in at? Who gives a shit? In order to turn every semi-automatic rifle into an NFA item, talk about the amount of money, the massive billions, trillions of dollars that the federal government would end up getting for people who would actually follow this type of situation if it became law anyway, to get tax stamps to keep their goddamn rifles. Ridiculous. Anyway, this is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great morning.